The first time he walked into the coffee shop, I'll admit it, I thought he was just a hot ex-Marine with a caffeine addiction. That jawline? Dangerous. But then, things got complicated. Turns out he was hiding more than just a broken heart. He was hiding something dark. And me? I was just a barista, with rent due, a chipped manicure, and zero time for mystery. Until the bean started bleeding secrets. Welcome to Bean There, Drip That, where not everyone who orders a double espresso lives to finish it. I open the shop at 5 a.m. sharp, wear black leggings like it's a job requirement, and once gave CPR to a guy whose only complaint afterward was that I smudged his oat milk foam art. Anyway, this morning felt off, and I don't mean the espresso shot. My coworker was supposed to be here already. He always says it's traffic, which is bold considering he lives 2 blocks away and rides a scooter like it's the Tour de France. Then there's the boss, always showing up in a charcoal wool coat with a silver crest on the lapel, like he's starring in a haunted Hallmark mystery about tax fraud and unsolved disappearances. He hadn't been around for days, but that wasn't news. He comes and goes with all the subtlety of a smoke machine at a high school play. But that day, something felt different. The drive-thru buzzer dinged. I gave it the usual, "Good morning, welcome to Bean There. What can I get brewing for you?" Silence. Okay, bold move, silent ordering. The camera feed flickered, and then I heard it, the soft purr of an engine. A silver sedan pulled up to the window, engine on, window down. No driver. At first, I figured maybe they dropped something on the floor, so I leaned out and said, "Hey there, ghost driver, your coffee's gonna get cold." Still nothing, just the hum of the engine, and my slow descent into mild panic. So I did what any brave, underpaid barista would do, shut the window, locked it, and whispered, "Nope," 3 times, like a protection spell. Then I called the cops. Turns out the car was registered to the boss. Well, that tracked. I told the officers he hadn't been in for a week, but to be fair, he does this. Belize, Bali, Bermuda. He once came back with a tattoo of a jellyfish and a tan so intense, we assumed he joined witness protection. So no, I hadn't reported him missing. Yet. Just when I thought things couldn't get weirder, he walked in. 6'4", dark red hair, blue eyes sharp enough to read me, the kind of body that looks like it was built out of discipline and quiet rage, all muscle and control. The kind of man who smells like clean sweat and cedar, and looks like he could bench press my problems. And that voice? Lowered, steady, a little gravelly. The kind that could talk me into, or out of, just about anything. We'd been circling each other for months. Late-night coffees, lingering glances, tension you could pour over ice and sell as an aphrodisiac. Neither of us made a move. Maybe we were both too stubborn. Maybe we were scared of ruining something that hadn't even started. But it was there, and I felt it every single time he walked through that door. There were rumors, too, that he used to do work for Julian back before this place sold croissants and had a chalkboard menu. He says that chapter's closed, that he's focused on the gym now, out for good. And maybe I'm a fool, but I want to believe him. He leaned on the counter like it was second nature and gave me that look. Half smirk, half secret, all heat.
"You look like you've had a morning,"
he said. I tried to play it cool. Tried not to smile. Tried not to imagine what his hands would feel like tangled in my hair. He offered to track down my missing coworker. Said he could leave a protein bar trail to lure him back in. Tempting. I made his usual. Handed it over. And when his fingers brushed mine, I swear something inside me short-circuited. He didn't pull away, neither did I. And before I could talk myself out of it, "How's your mom?" I asked. His smirk faded just slightly.
"She's hanging in there. Chemo's tough, but she's tougher."
There it was again. that quiet strength under all the charm. He talks about her like she's his compass, the reason he's still fighting to be good. I nodded, throat a little tighter than I'd like to admit. Tell her I'm thinking of her. He met my eyes, and for a moment, neither of us said a thing. Then he took his drink and left with a simple,
See you around.
and just like that, the moment passed. But the ache in my chest, that stayed. I turned toward the office, locked as always, but something about today made me want to push. Just as I reached for the knob, my coworker finally rolled in. Scooter helmet swinging, hoodie stained, looking like a human energy drink crash.
Morning, Queen of Caffeine. Sorry I'm late, my scooter chain exploded.
Did it also eat your phone?
I texted you. In my mind.
Of course he did. He dumped a box of beans on the prep table. I kept it light. Oh, by the way, the cops were here. That made him stop mid-scooping. A car pulled through the drive-thru, I said. No one inside, just sat there.
Creepy.
It was registered to the boss. He shrugged.
Probably just someone messing with his stuff. Dude's got enemies.
Enemies. Great. He dragged the beans to the back, but as he passed the office door, he glanced over his shoulder and unlocked it. Just like that. Slipped inside. 30 seconds, tops. Came back with a folder like it was no big deal.
Just grabbing some files. He told me to watch the place while he's out.
Out where?
Didn't say.
Of course not. He locked a door again and left. And I just stood there, staring at that door, because something was off. And for once, it wasn't just the coffee. The next day started off normal, which should have been my first clue that it absolutely wasn't going to stay that way. Zane had already been by early, unloaded the new bean shipment, and disappeared again to pick up a package, which, knowing Zane, could have meant anything from dry cleaning to something wrapped in duct tape and denial. I was halfway through my second cold brew and a podcast about how to spot a psychopath when the bell over the door jingles. 2 men walked in. Tall, sharp suits, matching dead eyes. Not the usual latte crowd. One of them scanned the place like he was calculating how many bodies would fit in the back room.
Is Julian around?
I blinked. Rooks? The other one smiled, but not in a way that meant good things.
You know another Julian hiding back there?
Nope, sorry, he's out.
Out?
They stepped closer. I stepped back. The one with the buzz cut leaned over the counter just enough to make my stomach tighten.
Tell him we came by, and if he doesn't want anyone else getting hurt, he knows where to find us.
He tapped a counter twice. Then they left. No drinks, no croissants, just pure menace and a faint whiff of expensive cologne. I stood there, frozen, trying to decide if I was going to cry or throw up first. And then he walked in. Same dark red hair, same sharp blue eyes, same way of making the room tilt just slightly in his direction. He took one look at me and his whole expression changed.
What happened?
I shook my head. 2 guys just came in asking for Rooks, said he knows where to find them. Said something about someone getting hurt. His jaw tightened.
You okay?
I nodded, but it felt like a lie. He touched my arm gently,
You sure?
and I hated how good that made me feel. How safe, even when the whole shop felt like it was cracking beneath me. Zane showed up 20 minutes later, breezing in like nothing happened.
Hey, sorry, line at the post office was brutal.
I stared at him. You ever seen 2 guys in suits come around here before? Kinda scary, definitely mob adjacent. Zane froze for half a second, just long enough to matter.
No? Why?
They were looking for Rooks.
Rooks attracts weirdos.
He shrugged,
Nothing new.
but his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. I made it through the rest of my shift, but everything felt off, like the shadows were watching me. I didn't want to go home, but I also didn't want to be scared of my own shadow. I checked the security footage to see if someone was responsible for the ghost car, but apparently it had been disconnected. I went to take the trash out to the dump and saw them. The same two guys parked in a dark vehicle across the street. My hands started shaking and I hurried back in the building. I finished locking up and bolted out the front door. I didn't go home after that. I didn't even hesitate. I went straight to him. The gym was quiet except for the low thud of weights and music drifting from the back room. And there he was. Gray tank top, sweat-damp hair, hands gripping a barbell. Every muscle moving like it had its own rhythm. I stopped, watched, let myself breathe for the first time since the alley. He didn't see me right away, and honestly, part of me didn't want to interrupt. Because for a second, just standing there, I wasn't scared. I was something else, drawn. Like if I could just stay in that doorway a little longer, everything would make sense again. He set the weights down, grabbed a towel, and finally looked up. And when our eyes met, I forgot how to swallow. I regretted every decision that led me there, including not wearing lip gloss. He walked over slowly, towel slung around his neck.
You okay?
I nodded too quickly. Yeah, I was just finishing up for the night and thought I saw someone out back. I thought maybe I'd take you up on your offer, just for tonight. There was a beat. I panicked. I mean, not like not with you, just the spare room, or the couch, or the floor. I've slept on worse. Once I passed out on a box of plastic forks at a music festival. He smiled, not mocking, just amused. Like he thought I was cute when I was spiraling.
You can have the guest room. You don't have to explain.
I feel dumb. I'm not usually this jumpy.
You had a weird day. A ghost car, 2 goons in suits, and a missing boss who may or may not be buried in his own walk-in freezer. I'd say jumpy is generous.
He paused. His eyes softened.
What happened just now?
I hesitated. I spotted those same 2 guys from earlier when I was taking out the evening trash. His whole body stilled.
What kind of car?
Black sedan, no plates, just crept behind me. Didn't do anything, but I don't know. It felt wrong. He didn't say anything, just clenched his jaw and nodded once. Then he opened the back door of the gym and motioned for me to follow.
Come on, you're staying.
I waited in the back room of his gym, trying not to overthink every single life choice that brought me here. The space was clean, minimal, just a chair, a side table, a row of towels, and that faint smell of eucalyptus and effort. And then I saw it. Half hidden behind a crate of protein shakes was a duffel bag, unzipped. Inside were the usual gym things, towels, sneakers, a water bottle, and one thing that definitely didn't belong, a bag of coffee beans. Score. Same brand we used at the shop. Same weird inverted logo. Same heavy matte black packaging. My stomach did that slow, sinking twist. I stepped closer, staring down at it like it might hiss at me. But just as I leaned in,
Ready to go?
I jumped. He was in the doorway, toweling off his hands. His shirt was back on, barely, hanging over his shoulder like an afterthought. He was flushed from the workout, damp curls clinging to his forehead. I nodded, maybe a little too quickly. Yeah, I said, definitely. He drove a dark green 4Runner, clean, no clutter, smelled like cedar and coffee and something just faintly like leather. The center console had a dent in it, like someone once punched it during a bad day. I didn't ask. He drove calmly, one hand on the wheel, eyes on the road, music low, just enough silence to make me nervous. His place wasn't what I expected. A sleek condo complex on the edge of downtown, gated entrance, assigned parking, big windows. I stepped inside and blinked at the view. Open floor plan, stainless steel kitchen, hardwood floors, a couch that definitely cost more than my car. "How do you afford all this?" I asked before I could stop myself. He looked over, amused.
I'm very good at squats.
I gave him a look. He laughed.
Military benefits, savings, and a friend in real estate. Nothing shady. Promise.
Right. Except I'd seen the beans, and I didn't believe in coincidences anymore.
Spare rooms down the hall, but you'll need something to sleep in.
He disappeared into a walk-in closet and came back with a soft black t-shirt. Before I could say thank you, he casually pulled off the shirt he was wearing. Like it was no big deal. Like I wasn't actively trying to remember how to blink. Muscles, tattoos, that little dip in his hip line that felt personally targeted. He handed me the shirt and smiled.
You're staring.
No, I'm not.
You are. It's okay.
Shut up. He grinned.
Good night, Hazel.
Good night, Cal. I walked into the guest room, shut the door, and tried not to scream into the nearest throw pillow. He was definitely hiding something, and I was definitely in trouble, and not just the criminal kind. The first thing I noticed was the sunlight. It was pouring through the windows like warm honey, making everything glow, including me. Still wrapped in his oversized t-shirt, still pretending this wasn't the best I'd slept in months. The second thing I noticed was the smell. Coffee. Not shop grade, something richer. Homemade. And was that cinnamon? Then came his voice.
Morning, Hazel.
I opened my eyes to find him leaning in the doorway, holding a mug in one hand and wearing joggers and a white t-shirt, like some gym god turned boyfriend in a made-for-streaming romance.
I made breakfast. Kind of. There are eggs, and I didn't set off the smoke alarm, so that's a win.
I smiled before I could stop myself. You're like a golden retriever with abs. He laughed.
I'll take it.
I shuffled into the kitchen, rubbing my eyes just as my phone buzzed. Zane. The last person I wanted to deal with before caffeine. I answered.
Hey, superstar. Hate to bug you on your day off, but I've got a newbie coming in to interview for the barista position, and I kind of need backup. You free?
I blinked. You're asking me to help you hire someone?
You've got people skills. I've got crippling social anxiety and a fear of commitment. Tag team?
I sighed. Meanwhile, Cal slid a plate toward me. Eggs, toast, and strawberries cut into little hearts. On purpose or not, I didn't ask. I guess I can swing by, I said into the phone.
Legend. Noon?
Fine. I hung up and looked at Cal. They're interviewing someone for a barista position. Zane asked me to come help. He nodded.
You sure you want to go in?
I'm not sure of anything anymore, I said. Except maybe one thing. This man, he was dangerous. By the time I got to the shop, the new girl was already in uniform. Bright smile, glossy ponytail, not a hair out of place. She had that effortless kind of energy that made you feel underdressed just for breathing. He was already obsessed.
She's amazing. Total natural. She learned the espresso station in like 10 minutes.
I watched her gracefully pour a latte like she'd been doing it since birth. Too smooth, too fast. But I smiled, because that's what you do when you don't trust your own gut yet.
It's Hazel, right? So great to meet you. I've heard so much about this place.
Yeah, I said. You're off to a fast start. She grinned like it was a compliment. I wasn't sure what it was. The confidence? The way she already knew where we kept the syrups? The way she didn't need to ask which key opened the till? Something buzzed under the surface, but I couldn't name it. Then, the bell over the door chimed, and in walked Cal.
I walked in to get my morning cup of coffee, and there she was. Riley, of all people. She looked the same, maybe even more polished, like trouble in lip gloss and a name tag. I hadn't seen her since that post-shift bar night 2 years ago. She tried to hook up with me. I turned her down. Politely. She didn't take it well. And now she was behind that counter. Working here? This was no accident. She was working for Julian, no doubt. And if she clocked that I cared about Hazel, even a little, she'd twist it. She'd ruin it, because that's what Riley did. She didn't get even. She got messy.
He walked in like nothing was weird, but I saw it. The slight pause, the flicker in his face. It lasted maybe half a second. He didn't say anything. Not to her, not to me. Just grabbed a cup, poured as usual, nodded.
Morning.
Hey, I said. He didn't look at her again, but the way his jaw tightened, yeah, something was definitely off. And maybe I didn't know why, but some part of me already did. The shop didn't need me that morning, not with her there. She's a fast learner, they said, eager to help, whatever that meant. So I was handed the rarest luxury a barista can get, a day off with nothing to do but overthink. Naturally, I headed straight to the police station. The officer on duty barely looked up. Still no sign of the boss. But one of his cars had been flagged. East Docks, midnight drop-off. No driver ID. Footage corrupted. Of course it was, because when your boss fakes his own disappearance, he doesn't use a valet. They didn't have much else, so I did what any underpaid caffeine addict with a flair for bad decisions would do. I went to the docks. They looked exactly how you'd imagine. Rusty crates, broken lights, a haunted vibe, and at least 3 kinds of illegal. And then I saw him. Not dead, not missing, just busy, loading something into a white van. Big unmarked boxes, too heavy for beans, too suspicious for decaf. But why would he want people to think he was missing? He didn't look around, didn't hesitate, just drove off like a man who didn't exist. So that was that. He wasn't missing. He was hiding. And whatever he was hiding from had already come looking for him once. I don't usually scare easy. I work alone before sunrise, pour espresso for strangers, and dodge awkward men in button-downs asking for extra caramel. But that walk home from the docks, it made the hair on my neck stand up, not from the dark, but from the silence that felt too intentional. It felt like someone was watching me. My stomach was in knots, just thinking about everything from earlier in the week, so I called the only person I trusted and hoped I didn't sound like an idiot. Hey, I'm fine, just a little freaked out, probably nothing, but are you busy? He didn't even hesitate.
Not at all. Text me your address. I'm on my way.
He didn't ask questions, didn't make me feel silly, and when I opened the door, there he was, hoodie, wet hair, like he'd just showered, and bolted out the door.
You okay?
I nodded. I am now. He looked around like he was ready to fight off an intruder with his bare hands, which, honestly, wouldn't surprise me. I stepped back. Come in. You look like you could use something stronger than concern. I poured us 2 glasses of whiskey, mostly because it's the only thing in my kitchen that's older than the oat milk. He took a sip, watching me over the rim. I tried not to blush.
So, whiskey girl, huh? I thought you were the tea type.
Only when I'm not trying to look cool in front of a handsome man. That made him laugh, low and warm, like he didn't get called handsome often enough.
You know I'd come running any time you called, right?
Even if it's just because I got scared of a shadow?
Especially then.
We talked. Not about the weird men, not about the docks, not about the locked office. We talked about the kind of stuff you only say when it's late, and the lights are low, and someone makes you feel safe.
You ever think about what comes after all this?
After whiskey and drive-thru coffee? Sure, I dream big.
No, I mean the life part, like marriage, kids. All the stuff that seems too far away until it's not.
You? Tough guy gym owner wants the white picket fence? He laughed, but he wasn't joking.
I want it more than I want a 6-pack. Well, almost.
You'd be a good dad.
And you'd make a great wife. You'd probably pack cute little lunch boxes with passive-aggressive notes, like, "Don't talk to other women, love you, babe."
Exactly. And maybe it was the whiskey, or the quiet, or the fact that no one had ever said something like that to me before. But it broke something open.
"Can I kiss you?"
If you don't, I might. And just like that, he did. Slow, gentle, like I was the secret he'd been trying to keep quiet. And when we finally pulled away, I was smiling so hard it hurt.
"You want me to stay?"
I wouldn't hate it. We didn't rush. We changed into old t-shirts, wrapped ourselves in blankets, and fell asleep on the couch. Not tangled, not dramatic, just close enough to touch if we needed to. There's a kind of light that only comes in the early morning. Soft, warm, deceptively calm. The kind of light that makes you forget what the night before felt like. For a minute, I let myself enjoy it. The sound of him breathing, the warmth on my cheek, the smell of his cologne. But then, I heard it.
"Yeah, I'll be there. Last one, I promise."
I sat up, carefully, quietly, like I'd just cracked a secret I wasn't supposed to hear. "Who were you talking to?" He jumped a little, phone already tucked into his pocket, eyes wide like he didn't expect me to be awake.
"No one, just gym stuff."
Since when does gym stuff sound like a getaway plan? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes.
"I gotta go handle something real quick. I'll text you later, okay?"
He kissed my forehead, said it too casually, too gently, and then he was gone. And just like that, the calm was gone too.
I told myself it was the last time, that if I did this one more job, I could wipe my hands clean. No more secrets, no more lies, just her and the truth. But even lies have shadows, and mine had red lipstick and a vendetta. Riley.
Well, well, well. Didn't think I'd see you again.
"I'm not back. It's a one-time thing."
Sure, and I only wear heels to yoga. Julian said you were out. Funny how fast your loyalty flips when money's involved.
"I don't work for Julian, not anymore.
Does she know that?
Leave her out of this."
Oh, honey. I see the way you look at her, like she's your salvation. It's adorable, naive, also dangerous.
"Don't mess this up for me, Riley, please."
That depends on how fun it'd be to watch her fall for someone who's still lying.
It was supposed to be one last run, but when you're in deep with someone like Julian, there's no such thing as last.
The shop was too quiet. And not the peaceful morning kind of quiet. It was where's the body quiet. He always beat me here, but when I walked in and saw the espresso machine off, the lights dim, and the smell of burnt toast and bad vibes, I knew something was wrong. I called out for him, half joking, half worried. The joke stopped cold when I found him slumped against the back shelf. His face was swollen, blood crusted at his lip, and one of his shoes was missing, like he'd been in a cartoon bar fight. Only this wasn't a cartoon. I dropped beside him. He groaned. Then he blinked up at me and said,
"Why does your face have 3 noses?"
"Okay, so not dying, but I called 911 anyway." The hospital was too white, too quiet, except for the steady beep, beep, beep that reminded me he was alive. Later that evening, he finally stirred.
Hey,
He rasped.
you look worse than I do.
"You wish." I asked who did it. He said 2 guys. Big, mean, one with a snake tattoo, the other with a neck thick enough to have its own zip code. And then it hit me. I'd seen them before. At the shop. Looking for Julian. He told me everything. Or at least what he knew. He'd been doing side jobs for Julian. Dropping off envelopes, cash probably, at a warehouse. Said Julian told him not to ask questions. I told him he should have asked one question, like maybe, why does this sound exactly like a Netflix docuseries? Turns out, Julian changed drop sites, cut the old guys out, and they didn't take that breakup well. When he didn't show up at their warehouse, they came to the coffee shop, asked where Julian was. He said he didn't know, so they beat the answer out of him. I couldn't breathe. I needed someone I trusted. I called. He showed up minutes later, hoodie on, looking like he could break someone's jaw just by blinking too hard. I told him what happened. The beating, Julian's name all over it. His voice dropped low.
I think I know who did this.
He didn't hesitate.
You're staying with me tonight.
I started to protest, but then he said it again, softer this time.
They're not going to stop, not until they get what they want, or someone ends up worse than him.
I gave in, told him fine, but only if I got to pick the playlist this time.
No more Heartbreak Cafe. I mean it.
I tried to laugh, but my heart was racing. We were in this now, me, him, and all the secrets Julian thought he buried under bags of beans and bundles of cash. And something told me the next few days were going to get a whole lot darker. We were leaving the hospital. Zane was stable, sore, groggy, and sarcastic as ever, so I figured he'd be okay. The plan was to swing by my place, pick up some clothes, maybe a toothbrush. But then he turned to me in the parking lot.
Mind if we make a quick stop?
I raised an eyebrow. He hesitated.
My mom, I just want to check on her.
I waved him off. Go ahead, I'll wait in the car. He gave me that look.
You're coming in.
I started to protest, tired, still rattled, but something in his voice told me not to argue. The house was small and neat. Yellow paint peeling a little near the windows, a porch swing that creaked in the wind. Inside, it smelled like lavender and old books. Warm, safe, lived in. She was on the couch, wrapped in a faded quilt, pale, fragile, but smiling. Her eyes lit up when she saw him.
Well, there's my handsome boy.
And then she looked at me.
And you must be the girl he's been talking about every time he comes over.
He groaned under his breath. I smiled. I hope it's all good things. She reached out and patted my hand.
Beautiful and polite. He finally figured out how to pick one right.
He looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. She offered to make us food, said she could throw something together real quick, but he gently declined.
We're grabbing food in a little while. You just rest.
She narrowed her eyes at him, then at me.
You sure I can't bribe you to stay? I've got eggs. And matchmaking skills.
I laughed. He flushed.
I'm just saying,
She added.
I wouldn't mind some grandbabies before I go.
Mom.
He muttered, running a hand over his face. She just winked at me.
You ever want to see a man turn red? Just mention babies. Works every time.
We stayed a few more minutes. She asked me what I did. I told her about the coffee shop. She told me about her cats. He mostly tried not to die of embarrassment. Before we left, she gave me a hug. She was small, delicate, but strong in that quiet, motherly way that felt like a safety net.
You're good for him.
She whispered in my ear. I didn't know what to say, so I just squeezed her hand and smiled. The peace didn't last. The second we pulled up to my apartment, I knew something was wrong. The door was open, not cracked, not ajar, wide open, like someone dared me to come inside. He stepped in first, didn't speak, just held an arm out in front of me like a shield, moving slow, controlled. I followed, heart in my throat. The couch was slashed open, cushions ripped, foam everywhere, cabinets flung wide, dishes shattered, drawers pulled out and dumped like someone was looking for something they couldn't find. Even the bathroom mirror had a long, deliberate crack across it, like a warning. but it was the note that stopped me cold. Taped to the fridge. All caps, black marker, uneven and angry. I want my money. I backed up until my spine hit the wall behind me. Nausea came fast and hot. He caught me, arms steady, voice calm.
We're calling this in.
10 minutes later, there were 2 cruisers out front. But he didn't call 911. He called someone named Jake, who picked up with a gravelly,
Tell me it's not your mess again, Beck.
He stepped outside to talk, paced the sidewalk, but I caught just enough. Jake was an old Marine buddy, now the police chief, and apparently not exactly a by-the-book kind of guy. He agreed to handle it quietly, which definitely didn't mean legally. When he came back inside, I asked him what that kind of help looked like. He shrugged.
Messy, but fast.
After the police bagged the note and warned me not to stay there alone, I was done. Done with secrets. Done with being scared. Done pretending this was normal. I need a drink and something fried. He didn't even flinch.
Burgers?
I nodded. Cheeseburgers, with the cheap American cheese that melts like glue. We didn't go far. Just a little 24-hour diner off the highway. Sticky booths, flickering neon, a jukebox that worked when it felt like it. It was perfect. Halfway through our fries, a young couple walked in. Late 20s, exhausted, with a newborn curled in one of those cloth wraps against the dad's chest. The mom looked radiant and overwhelmed. The dad looked terrified and completely in love. I watched them, and then I saw him watching them too. He leaned back in the booth.
I always wanted that.
I glanced at him. The burgers or the baby? He smiled.
The baby. The whole thing. I thought I'd have a family by now. Swing set, sleepless nights, goldfish crackers all over the car.
Something flickered in my chest. You might not be too far off. He looked at me, too long.
I sure hope not.
And then I choked on a fry. He handed me a napkin like it was no big deal. Back at his condo, the city buzzed outside the windows. He handed me a soft gray t-shirt that probably used to belong to the Marines. I brought my own clothes, you know. He gave me a sly smile. When I stepped out wearing it, his eyes flicked up, then quickly away.
Looks better on you.
He mumbled, tossing a throw blanket on the couch like his life depended on it. I stepped closer. Thank you for everything today. He nodded.
Anytime.
We both leaned in, just a little, then stopped. He stepped back.
I know you're probably exhausted. You can take the second bedroom.
He said, voice lower.
Door sticks a little. I won't bother you tonight.
Thanks, I said, but I kind of wished he would. Later that night, I couldn't sleep, so I wandered back out to the living room. He was still awake, lying on the couch, arms behind his head, staring at the ceiling like it owed him an explanation. I couldn't sleep, I whispered.
Yeah,
He whispered back.
me neither.
He lifted the blanket slightly. I curled in beside him, carefully, quietly. When his arm wrapped around me, I didn't move. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I didn't feel alone. By the end of my shift, I was 2 espresso shots away from throwing a scone at her head. She'd spent the entire afternoon adding extra syrup to drinks no one asked for and acting like I was the intern on her first day. Every time I turned around, she had a new reason to correct me.
You missed a spot.
She said, pointing to the counter with one of those syrupy plastic smiles. Oh, I'll add it to your fan club newsletter. And then, like caffeine in human form, the bell above the door jingled. Cal. Tall, tan. That slow smile that made me forget how to function. He looked like trouble in the best possible way.
Right on time, huh?
I don't think he meant the clock. Do you always pick me up now?
Only when I know there's competition watching.
I blushed. She fumed. God, it was perfect. He held the door open like some old-school movie hero, and as I walked past him, he leaned in.
You ready?
I didn't say it out loud, but yeah, I was so damn ready. He walked me to a blacked-out truck that smells like cedar, gym chalk, and something warm I couldn't name. The leather seats were soft, worn in, the kind of comfort that sneaks up on you. Okay, when were you going to tell me you also had a truck that is nicer than my apartment?
After I convinced you it's for hauling gym gear and not overcompensating.
We both laughed. Too much. But it felt good. To laugh. To flirt. To feel like a person again. We finally made it back to his condo.
Water? Wine? Protein shake?
Surprise me. He disappeared into the kitchen. I wandered toward the couch. Then he came back, shirtless. And yes, I looked. I'm not made of stone. The man's abs had abs. He handed me a soft, oversized t-shirt.
Didn't think you'd want to sleep in that coffee-scented uniform.
Chivalry with a side of shade. Impressive.
Only the best.
Later that night, we sat on the couch with mismatched wine glasses and quiet music. I'd kicked off my shoes. He sat close. Too close to ignore, not close enough to touch. And then we talked. Really talked. He told me about his mom, how he wanted to give her a better life, how sometimes when he looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. Then he looked at me, like I was the one thing in the room that made sense. My heart didn't just melt, it caught fire. I reached for his hand. He pulled me closer and everything else fell away. It started like all the best things do. Quiet, unexpected, heavy with everything we hadn't said. He brushed his fingers down my arm, slow, like he was memorizing the feel of me. And when our eyes met, something cracked wide open between us. No more pretending, no more space, just us. He leaned in, carefully, reverently, and when our lips met, I stopped breathing. Because it wasn't just a kiss. It was a release, a surrender, a promise disguised as desire. I kissed him back with everything I'd been holding in. Every late-night glance, every morning coffee smile, every soft word and almost touch. His hands found my waist, then my back, pulling me closer like he couldn't stand the distance anymore, like not touching me physically hurt.
Are you sure?
I didn't answer out loud. I just kissed him harder, and he understood. Clothes were shed like secrets, touches grew deeper, slower, more certain. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't reckless, it was right. We took our time. Because when you've been aching for someone for this long, you don't rush the moment they finally become yours. The world fell away. No coffee shop, no secrets, no Julian, no fear, just skin and whispers, hands and heat, and him, saying my name like it meant something. When it was over, I lay tangled in the sheets, in his arms, in a version of reality that felt perfect. He kissed my shoulder, pulled me closer, exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years.
I should have kissed you the day we met.
I smiled into his chest, trying not to cry, because I knew the truth. If I'd kissed him then, I would have fallen just as hard. That night, I didn't just fall asleep beside him. I fell, period. And for a little while, it felt like we had forever. There was something sweet about routine. The way Cal kissed my forehead before I stepped out of the truck. The way he told me to text him when I got inside, like I didn't already know he'd be watching from the street until my light clicked on. And the way I pretended everything was still normal, even when my heart was still echoing with that phone call from this morning. Last one, I promise. Just 5 words. Soft, quiet, forgettable. Unless you knew how to listen. Unless you were me, because I couldn't stop wondering. Last what? Last job? Last drop? Last lie? And who was he promising it to? Because it sure as hell wasn't me. I should have known the moment she walked in. Riley didn't come to work. She came to play chess. Hair curled, lip gloss perfect. Fake lashes fluttering just a little too hard, and that smirk. God, that smirk. Like she already knew how the game would end. She didn't say anything at first, just hovered by the counter like a thundercloud waiting to ruin someone's picnic. Then, finally, long night, her voice was syrupy, but the blade underneath was sharp enough to cut steel. I didn't look at her. Didn't give her the satisfaction. Just kept wiping the counter like it held the answers to all my problems. What's it to you? My tone was flat, lifeless, but I was bracing for the impact. Because she never asked questions she didn't already know the answers to.
Oh, nothing. Just wondering if Cal still makes eggs in the morning after.
And she let the words hang, like bait, dangling. I froze, and she saw it. That was her favorite part, saying just enough to rattle you, then sitting back to watch the collapse. If you've got something to say, Riley, say it. She smiled, like a cat that just knocked something expensive off a shelf.
He used to make eggs for me too. Scrambled, mostly. After, before, sometimes both.
Something twisted behind my ribs, a deep, ugly wrench I couldn't name. You're lying. I didn't even recognize my own voice.
Lying?
She said, all mock innocence.
Ask him how many nights I stayed over. Ask him what we were doing when the cops raided the wrong unit and he had to jump out the back window in boxers.
She leaned a little closer.
You'd think a guy like him would have mentioned that, huh?
My heart was pounding, but I didn't let her see it. Couldn't. He told me he was done with all of that. Her laugh was soft, pitying. The kind you give someone who still believes in magic.
Of course he did. That's his move. Get out, clean slate, then slide right back in when the money's good.
She lowered her voice, just enough to slice.
Don't take my word for it, though. Go ask the warehouse on Harbor. He was there Tuesday night. Black duffel, sketchy van, all the hits.
I didn't want to believe her. God, I didn't. But the thing is, I already knew about that warehouse. I just didn't know he'd gone back. Why are you even here? I asked. Her voice dropped to something colder.
Because Julian doesn't trust Cal anymore. He needed someone who doesn't catch feelings.
And just like that, the bell above the front door chimed. And there he was. Cal, that easy smile, that relaxed confidence, like everything was fine, like nothing was on fire.
Hey, sorry,
I didn't let him finish. I walked straight past him, out the door, into the blinding sun. Because sometimes the worst lies don't come from enemies. They come from the people who hold your face in their hands and say they care. The lie hits different when you've just shared a bed with the person telling it.
Wait, Hazel?
I heard him turn. He sounded confused, worried.
Riley, what happened?
And then her voice, cool, controlled, deliberate.
You might want to run after her. She just found out she's not the only one who likes her eggs scrambled.
And just like that, the whole thing cracked wide open. There's something awful about the moment you realize someone's chasing you. Not because they care, but because they got caught. He called after me. Of course he did, because that's what liars do. They chase the truth, only after it's already out.
Hazel, wait.
I stopped, spun around so fast he nearly ran into me, and the words flew out before I could stop them. Is it true? Did she stay with you? His breath hitched, barely, but enough to answer for him.
She needed a place to crash. It was just for a few nights.
That hesitation, that pause, that tiny crack in his voice, that told me everything I needed. You didn't think I deserved to know that? His voice steadied again, Marine mode.
Nothing happened, I swear. She was broke. She had nowhere else to go. Yeah, I made her breakfast because I felt bad for her, but that was it. I never touched her.
His words were clean, but my anger was louder. You let me sleep in the same place she stayed? Where she came on to you? And you never said a word?
I didn't want it to mess things up between us.
Well, too late.
I was trying to protect what we had.
But that wasn't even the worst part. Are you still doing drops? He didn't even try to dodge it, just looked away and let out a breath like it hurt.
Just one more. That's it. I'm trying to get out.
And that was the final nail. You should have told me. You should have trusted me.
I do trust you.
But I didn't believe him. Not anymore. I don't want to see you right now. A whisper, but it carried everything I had left. Please, don't follow me. He nodded. Quiet.
Okay.
And just like that, I walked away, went home, locked my door, then cried harder than I had in months. I wasn't even sure what I was mourning, the betrayal, the truth, or the version of him I'd made up in my head. But even through the sobs, my phone buzzed, over and over, his name, again and again. I'm sorry. I just want to talk. Please say something. I didn't. I couldn't. I needed air, space, time, and eventually sleep found me before I even realized I'd closed my eyes. But when I woke up, everything had changed.
I should have chased her. But when a woman like Hazel tells you not to follow, you listen. You respect the boundary, even when it's killing you. So I waited. Like an idiot. I texted, nothing. Called once, voicemail, twice, still nothing. By midnight, I told myself she just needed to cool off. By 2 a.m., I knew something was wrong, because Hazel doesn't go quiet. Not completely, not even when she's mad, and especially not with everything going on. So I threw on a hoodie, didn't even bother with shoes, grabbed my keys, heart pounding the whole way. I parked across the street from her place. No lights, no movement. But then I saw it, her front door. Not closed, just cracked open. Hazel was careful, obsessive about it, honestly. Triple-checked the locks. Always waited for the deadbolt click before saying goodnight. There was no way she left that door like that. I stepped inside, every instinct screaming. The lamp was tipped over, curtain rod broken. One of her shoes, just one, lay abandoned by the hallway. Then I saw it, her phone, face down on the floor, the screen still lit, my last text glowing back at me, unread. No sign of her, no blood, no struggle I could track. But I knew she was gone, and the worst part, I might have been the reason.
There's something cruel about waking up in silence. No beeping monitors, no familiar smells, just cold concrete. And the weight of something plastic zip-tied around my wrists. My head throbbed, my mouth tasted like dust. For a second, I couldn't even open my eyes. And when I finally did, it wasn't the nightmare I'd hoped it would be. It was worse. I saw him, slumped against a metal pole across the room. Julian Rooks. That damn charcoal coat was still on him, torn at the elbow. The silver crest he always wore, still pinned to the lapel like it meant something. But there was blood on his temple, dried at the edge of his collar, and rope, thick, dirty rope wrapped around his ankles, and his face, that smug, calculating face I knew too well, it was gone. What I saw now was fear. Real fear. For a moment, I thought maybe this was just another act, another game. But then he moved. Barely. He turned his head toward me, his voice low and cracked.
They want both of us gone.
And in that moment, I knew he wasn't lying. We weren't in this room by accident. We'd both been taken by the same people he thought he could outsmart, the same people he double-crossed. The ones I'd only heard about in fragments, angry voices at the shop, whispered threats behind the counter, Zane's bruised ribs, unpaid debts. the original suppliers, the ones Julian promised he was done with. But Julian Rooks never quits anything, not unless he's forced. I glanced around. No windows, just rusted walls, a heavy steel door in the corner, and silence. That was the worst part. Time didn't feel real anymore. There were no clocks, no sounds, just breath, just fear. And somewhere across town, someone had to know I was missing. Someone had to be looking for me.
I couldn't sleep, not after what I saw. Her apartment, trashed. The front door wide open. Every part of me knew what it meant, even before I stepped inside. Hazel was gone. I tried to stay calm, tried to think, but my hands were shaking too hard to hold my phone. I called the one person who would never ask questions, Jake, an old friend. We served in the Marines together. Now he was on the force, and still dirty enough to get things done when rules didn't apply. We met at my gym, after hours, no lights, just the hum of the fridge in the back office and the weight of what we were about to do.
You sure it's the old crew?
Positive. Julian ditched his suppliers and tried to go solo. Now they want payback, and they're not just coming for him. They've got Hazel. Jake didn't even flinch. Didn't ask how I knew. He just went straight into it.
Then here's what we do. Step 1. Assume they're keeping her alive. She's leverage. If Julian's still breathing, chances are she is too. Step 2. Offer a trade. Fake money. Fake product. They won't know the difference until it's too late. We set the location. Control the timeline. Track every move.
It was risky, but so was waiting. We'll need someone on the inside. Someone who can reach them without tipping them off. Jake raised a brow.
You mean Riley?
I exhaled. I don't trust her, but I know what she cares about, money. If she finds out Julian's in trouble, she'll show up. If she thinks helping us protects her cash flow, she'll play along.
And if she turns on us?
I didn't blink. Then I deal with it. Right now, none of that mattered. Only one thing did. Hazel. I found her behind the coffee shop, leaning against the wall, cigarette in hand, wearing that smirk like it was part of her uniform. She didn't flinch when I walked up, just took a drag and blew smoke into the cooling air.
Well, well, if it isn't my favorite ex-Marine turned coffee vigilante.
I need your help. That made her pause. The cigarette dangled from her fingers as she studied me.
Is Zane busy?
I didn't laugh. This isn't a joke. Her smile faded.
That serious?
It's Hazel. They took her. That got her attention. Her brow lifted barely, but something shifted behind her eyes.
And you came to me because...
Because you've been in this world longer than I have. Because you know how they operate.
And because I'm disposable if it goes wrong.
No, I said. Because you're good at surviving. She snorted.
Flattery. From you? I should be recording this.
I waited. Let her pace it out in her head.
You want me to go in?
She said.
Alone.
Just like you did before. You walk in, offer a trade. We'll be watching the exits, ready to move if anything goes sideways. She hesitated, spinning the cigarette between her fingers.
What's in it for me?
I didn't answer right away. Instead, I met her eyes. They have Julian, too. The cigarette dropped.
Say that again.
He was there, still is, far as we know. They took him when they grabbed Hazel. Her face changed. Not panic, not concern, just calculation.
He's the reason I get paid and the reason I haven't ended up in a dumpster somewhere.
She looked up at me.
If they kill him, I lose everything.
And Hazel loses her life.
Yeah. Her too.
Silence stretched between us. Then she flicked the cigarette away and cracked her neck.
Fine. I'll do it. But this is your mess, Cal. I'm not cleaning it twice.
We'll have your back.
You better.
And then she was gone. Back into the shadows. Already planning how to walk into hell and make it look like a runway. We had one shot to make it work. I just hoped we weren't already too late. The plan was simple, at least on paper. Riley would go in alone, act like she was trading product for people. Jake and I would be waiting outside, ready in case anything went south. And it would. We all knew it. We were huddled behind the coffee shop, out of view. Jake had printed blueprints of the warehouse from some shady database only ex-cops have access to. One entrance, 2 exits, and just enough blind spots to make things dangerous. Riley stood with her arms crossed, ponytail high, sunglasses pushed up, confident, or pretending to be. You'll text them this pin drop. Same warehouse you scoped out earlier. Don't change the terms. Don't improvise.
You don't have to babysit me. I know how to handle them. They're not the only ones I've dealt with.
She hesitated. Her voice dropped just slightly.
Julian wasn't always like this, you know. Before all of this, before the coffee shop, he had charm, heart. He helped me when I had nothing. There's still a part of him worth saving.
I didn't say anything, just stared at the map in Jake's hands like it held the answers. Julian was the reason we were in this mess. The reason Hazel was in danger. I didn't care if he burned for it, as long as she got out alive. We go in clean. No weapons. Riley's the only one visible. If they try anything, we move. We pulled up to the warehouse just after sunset. One of those forgotten industrial buildings on the edge of town. Graffiti, busted windows, broken promises. Jake and I hung back, crouched between stacked pallets, our breath tight. Riley popped the trunk and grabbed the duffel bag, heavy with fake product. Just enough to look real. She turned and gave us a nod, unspoken. This was her part. She walked toward the warehouse alone, hips swaying like she owned the place. A neon flicker from a busted security light danced across her frame as the metal door creaked open and swallowed her inside. I glanced at Jake. No words, just a shared look that said, "Let's hope she makes it out alive."
You ever get that feeling like you're walking into something you shouldn't? Like all the signs are there, flashing neon, full-body chills, but you go anyway? Yeah, that was tonight. The warehouse loomed like a grave. The kind of place you don't walk into, you get pulled into. By guilt, by money, by something deeper than either. I pulled the van around back, just like we planned. One duffel bag, full of product. Cal and Jake stayed hidden in the shadows behind the fence line, sniper-style backup if you ask them. Cowardly backup if you ask me. It had to be me. The bad guys knew my name, my face, my history, and I guess so did Julian. God, Julian. I told myself I was doing this for Hazel, for Cal, for the plan, but there was this annoying, stupid ache in my chest that said otherwise, that I was doing this because somewhere deep down, under the lies and the violence and the charm, Julian Rooks still meant something to me. I hated myself for it. I zipped the bag and gave them the signal. 1 knock, 2 beats, 1 more. Just like we rehearsed. They opened the door with guns already drawn. "Where's the girl?" I asked. Cool, steady, like my heart wasn't thundering loud enough to drown out their voices.
Where's the trade?
I tossed the duffel forward like it weighed nothing, even though it felt like it had the whole world inside. The taller guy, the one with the scar down his temple, opened it, smiled.
Well, look at that. Thought you didn't play ball anymore, Riley.
Guess I had a reason. He jerked his chin behind him. That's when I saw her. Hazel, bruised, hands tied, lip busted, but alive. And Julian, slumped against a beam, coughing up blood. "You got what you wanted," I said. "Now give them to me." The guy with the scar smirked.
You think it's that easy?
Behind me, I knew Cal and Jake were holding their breath, waiting for the moment to pounce. But this wasn't the movies. People didn't freeze frame. Guns didn't conveniently jam. So I did the only thing I could. I said, "Then maybe you'd like to know what's in the second bag." His eyes flicked up.
Second bag.
"Yeah," I smiled. "Because you didn't actually think I'd trust you with the real supply, did you?" That's when the shot rang out. Not at me, at the light above. Sparks fell like angry stars. Chaos exploded in the room. Jake barreled in first, Cal a second behind, and just like that, the trade was off. And the war was on.
The shot cracked like thunder, then darkness. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. The warehouse lights went out, and so did any chance of a peaceful trade. I dropped behind the nearest crate, heart slamming against my ribs. This wasn't the plan. Jake was supposed to cover the entrance. Cal was on the backside. I was the distraction, the one who was supposed to walk in, play nice, and walk out with Hazel. Instead, now it was war. Somewhere to my left I heard shouting, heavy boots, a second gunshot, then glass. I reached for the pistol strapped under my coat. Julian had given it to me months ago. Said if I was going to live in his world, I needed to learn how to survive in it too. I hated him for that, and I loved him for it too. A flashlight beam cut through the air ahead, then vanished with a curse. That was Jake. I recognized the voice. He was still moving, still fighting, and if Jake was still up, so was Cal. But where the hell was Hazel? I crouched low, weaving through crates and coffee sacks like a ghost. Gunfire cracked again, closer now. I ducked behind a steel drum.
She's over here.
No. I swung out from cover and fired. I didn't wait to see if I hit anything. I just ran toward the voice. The shadows were alive now, men moving, shouting, throwing punches. Another light sparked overhead, briefly flashing on 2 men fighting, one of them definitely Cal. The other was one of Julian's old suppliers, the ones who wanted him dead. I didn't come here to die. But I wasn't leaving without her. I finally saw her, Hazel, tied to a post, her cheek bruised, lip cracked, but alive. Julian was there too, slumped beside her, still breathing. I charged. Another man stepped into my path, gun raised. I didn't think. I fired. He fell. I reached Hazel just as she lifted her head. "Riley." I knelt beside her, yanking at the ropes with shaking hands. "I got you. I've got you, okay?" Julian groaned beside us, and for a second I saw his face. The real one, not the monster, not the criminal. Just the man I fell in love with before it all went to hell. Gunfire still echoed across the warehouse. But in that moment, I only heard Hazel's breathing and my own heart breaking wide open.
I couldn't see much, just shadows dancing between bursts of gunfire, but I heard her voice, Riley. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating, that my brain had finally snapped under the pressure and was conjuring up the last person I ever expected to see. But then, her hands were on the ropes, tugging, shaking, cursing under her breath. I didn't know if we were going to make it out. I didn't know if Cal was still alive. I didn't know why Riley came back. But I knew one thing. This wasn't over. And when it was, Someone was going to pay. The air hit me like a slap. Cold, sharp, full of gunpowder and diesel. We burst through the side door and into the night, my lungs gasping like they'd forgotten how to work. I didn't know where we were. A dockyard, maybe? Empty shipping crates towered around us like tombstones. Water lapped somewhere nearby, and behind us, gunfire. 1 shot. 2. Silence. Riley pressed me behind a stack of crates and crouched beside me. We both listened. No footsteps. No yelling. Just the echo of whatever war we'd just crawled out of. I turned to her. "Why did you come back?" She didn't look at me, just stared out at the shadows with this strange, haunted expression.
He's not all bad.
I knew who she meant. Julian. I didn't say anything, because right now, I didn't care if he was good or bad or somewhere in between. I just wanted out. "I thought you hated me," I said. The words felt flat, stupid, like they didn't belong in a place like this.
I did.
She finally looked at me, green eyes burning.
Still do, a little.
We both let out this breathless, broken laugh, not because anything was funny, but because we were alive. A door creaked open behind us. We froze. Footsteps. And then,
Hazel.
I stood up so fast the world tilted. There he was, cut lip, bloody knuckles, chest heaving like he'd just sprinted through hell. And when he saw me, he froze, like he was staring at a ghost. And maybe I was, because part of me died in that warehouse, the part that trusted too easily, the part that believed good intentions could undo bad decisions. I ran to him anyway. He caught me like he always had, strong arms, warm chest, holding me like maybe he could fix it just by being there.
I thought I lost you.
Me too. I didn't tell him I almost gave up. I didn't ask if Julian was still alive. I just let myself breathe. Because for now, we were safe. But this wasn't the end. This was just the fallout.
Julian? Her voice cracked through the night like a whip. She was already pushing past us, boots echoing across the loading dock as she disappeared back into the shadows. I tried to stop her. "Riley, don't..." But she didn't even look back. And that's when I knew. Whatever this had been for her, it wasn't just about money. She cared about him, even if he didn't deserve it. A minute later, her scream echoed from inside.
"He's bleeding! He's been shot!"
We raced in. He was slumped against a pillar, pale, breathing, barely. Blood bloomed across his shirt like an ink spill. His lips were blue. She was on her knees next to him, pressing her hands to his side, her face streaked with tears.
"Don't you dare die, Julian! Don't you dare!"
Cal looked around for something, anything to help. But it was Jake who stepped forward, calm as ever.
I'll call someone.
He stepped away, already pulling out his phone. Not 911, not a hospital, someone else. And the way he said it, like he'd done it before. Like he had a name for situations like this. A man for emergencies that couldn't go public.
It's me. I've got a bleeder. Industrial dock, west side. Bring a quiet team.
He hung up and looked at her.
He'll make it, if he wants to.
"Don't act like you care!"
He didn't argue, didn't blink. I looked at Julian then, this broken man she had risked everything for. He looked up at her with glassy eyes, and for just a moment, he smiled, like she was the only thing keeping him tethered. The drive back to Cal's place was long, quiet, not the comfortable kind, the kind where silence says more than words ever could. Cal didn't let go of my hand the entire ride. Like if he did, I might disappear. Like holding on to me was the only thing keeping the world from unraveling. When we finally pulled into the driveway, something about the house felt different. He'd brought me here before, but this time it didn't feel like a stopover. It felt like a line we'd crossed, like nothing would be the same after this. He carried me through the door, his arms strong and steady, but his eyes were all over me, checking for injuries, for pain, for pieces I might have lost along the way. I wasn't bleeding, but I wasn't whole either. He didn't ask if I could walk. Didn't need to. We both knew I was running on fumes and adrenaline. Up the stairs, down the hall, into the bathroom. He set me down on the edge of the tub like I was something breakable. Turned on the water. Warm, soothing. His hand brushed my thigh when he reached for a towel, and I saw the way he froze. Felt the tension in his body. The memories. He remembered the last time. So did I. Only this time was different.
He knelt in front of me and started cleaning the blood from my skin. Gentle, focused, like he was memorizing every inch just in case. Neither of us said a word. Because what do you say after a night like that, when you've seen what people are capable of, what you're capable of? I stood slowly and slipped out of my clothes, letting them fall to the tile. I didn't feel shy, not with him, not anymore. I stepped into the bath, and the water wrapped around me like silk. He sat on the floor beside the tub, silent, waiting, just being there. When I leaned back against the porcelain, I finally let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. He looked at me, and something cracked open in my chest. Not fear, not exhaustion, something softer. Something I'd been too scared to name. When I reached out my hand, he took it. And when I stood up, still dripping, wrapped in one of his towels, he rose with me. We didn't speak as I led him to the bedroom. We didn't need to. He knew exactly where to touch me, how to kiss me, what I liked. Because he'd been here before. And so had I. But this time felt heavier, more real. There was no tension, no nerves, just heat, trust, need. My hands found his jaw, and he leaned into me like he'd been starving for it, and maybe he had. We moved together like muscle memory, the way he peeled the towel from my skin, the way I pulled his shirt over his head, revealing that familiar line of muscle and scar. It was slower this time, deeper, like we weren't just touching skin, we were touching everything underneath. And when we finally gave in, tangled in his sheets, breathless and open and raw, it wasn't about escape. It was about choosing each other. Again and again, until the night wrapped around us and nothing else existed. Not the warehouse, not the blood. Just this, just us, falling together, harder than before. I was curled up against him, soft breaths against his chest, like proof I was still alive, still here. And every time I shifted in my sleep, he wrapped his arms tighter around me, like if he let go, I'd vanish again. The warehouse, the gunfire, the blood, it all played on repeat behind my eyelids.
My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Jake, of course. I slid out of bed carefully, kissed her forehead, and stepped into the hallway to answer. Yeah?
Thought you should hear it from me first.
His voice had that edge, the one that usually meant bad news with teeth. What is it?
Maddox Crane.
The name hit like a fist to the ribs.
Word is he's back. And pissed. Real pissed. You burned his deal with Rooks. Cost him more than money.
Where is he?
No one knows, but he's asking around. Asking about you, about Hazel. The guys we brought in say he's got connections deeper than we thought. Military grade.
My eyes drifted back to the bedroom, to her, sitting up, smiling softly as she tucked her hair behind her ear. Then we end this, before he even gets close.
Just thought you should know, it's not over.
Of course it wasn't. With Maddox Crane, it never is. I hung up, walked back into the room. She was in my sweatshirt now, curled up in the middle of the bed. She looked up at me. worried. She always knew when something was off.
Everything okay?
I slid beside her, wrapping my arm around her waist. No, but I'll keep you safe, even if it kills me, and it just might.
So that's how it all shook out. Hazel and Cal, they disappeared for a while, laid low, tried to build something real in a world that doesn't exactly make room for peace. Zane kept the coffee shop running, like nothing ever happened, like the floorboards weren't soaked in secrets. Julian, still breathing, recovering somewhere dark and quiet, probably dreaming up a new empire. And Riley, she left the second she knew he was okay. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. Me? Well, my story's a little messier. I wasn't supposed to be part of this. I was just the guy you called when things went sideways. Clean it up, shut it down, walk away. Only this time, I didn't walk away. I got dragged in, cut deals I shouldn't have, made promises I couldn't keep. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, I fell for the one person I couldn't stand. The woman who stitched me up, cussed me out, and saw right through all my bullshit. And now, I don't know if she saved me, or if she's the reason I'll end up dead. If you want to hear my side, how I got pulled into the mess behind the coffee beans and how I fell for the woman I hated, type Jake in the comments and subscribe.